What's going on, guys? Russell here, back with IDK. Today, in this video, we're going to be tackling a pretty common problem, actually, for people just getting into PC gaming. Haven't posted in a while, so I figured that we could start from the beginning, sort of work our way forward again, and see where that takes us. And then also with the release of Ryzen at the beginning of the summer, and the new Coffee Lake Intel CPUs, I figured that it would be a good time to sort of recap on this topic, and then sort of see where it takes us from there. We're going to be designing this system purely as an entry-level gaming PC. And the reason I chose that is because there's a lot of people that are just looking to get into the game, and they're like, oh, you know, I need the newest hex core i7 because that's what everyone says is the best, and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, if you're still playing at 1080p, which is according to Steam, I believe, still the most popular resolution, you don't need a super huge graphics card. If you're only pushing 1080p, you don't need an 8 or 10 core CPU. 4 cores will still get you through just fine at 60 FPS on most games at fairly reasonable settings. Coupling this that task with the entry-level gaming hardware, and then looking at the challenges that we have right now with GPUs being hard to find and also being overpriced because of the cryptocurrency boom, that is going to make our lives a little bit trickier. And then again, between the Coffee Lake i3s, which are now quad cores, or the Ryzen 3 processors, we can start to look at those options. So here I am on PC Part Picker. This is the Canadian website, and I'll be dealing in before tax dollars, but we'll also display the tax dollars for the tax rate in Ontario, which is 13%. But again, this is in Canadian dollars, so don't be thinking that I'm overspending everything because this is $1,000 American. It's not. It's $1,000 Canadian, which is going to be like $600 to $800 American, depending on what the dollar's at, because we're suffering pretty hard right now. Anyway, so let's just jump right into it. I actually pulled this review up when I was doing a brief review of the new Coffee Lake and Ryzen 3 processors. So I found this, and this is the interesting slide here, where my cursor is comparing the Ryzen 3 1200 and the Ryzen 3 1300X. So they're both 4-core, 4-thread, and the only difference is the base clock and the boost clock. So the base on the 1200 is 3.1 to 3.4, and the base on the 1300X is a 3.5 to a 3.7. That is pretty much the only difference. They have the same amount of L3 and L2 cache. Their automatic boost clocks are not the same. But the thing is that you can overclock the 1200 and the 1300 both, and especially because AMD has a little bit better of a cooler, honestly, I believe, than Intel, even though it's fairly similar. I've seen it perform a little bit better. I think that with that sort of combination, Ryzen 3 might be the way to go, but let's just jump into it and find out. So here are all the processors on Part Picker. So we're going to select AMD Ryzen 3 and then scroll down and go Intel Core i3. There's still a bunch of options, so we're going to select Coffee Lake and Zen. And actually, you know, we're just going to let's go Skylake and Skylake S, just for fun. All right, so let's look at Ryzen 3 is coming up at the top at 146.88. So the least expensive processor, and then you can see that the i3-7100 is still only a dual core at 3.9 gigahertz, but still only 2 cores. That's not ideal for gaming. So if we're going to do just gaming, let's go for 4 cores. The 8100 on the i3 is clocked at 3.6 gigahertz at 65 watts, and the 65 watts is the same as the 1200 as well, but it is $20 more. It will be a locked multiplier. That means that you can't overclock it, whereas the 1200, I know you can reach 3.9 or 4 gigahertz fairly easily without touching voltages. So according to this, the biggest competition is the 1300X and the 1200, but I do know that the 1200 will overclock to similar speeds to the 1300X, so around the 4 gigahertz, again, if you don't want to go too crazy with the overclock, so you don't have to buy an extra cooler. So let's start with the Ryzen 3 1200. Again, we're going to skip the cooler because the Wraith is included. Now for the motherboard, I want to try and keep this sort of as small as possible. We're going to try and make it a system where you can keep on your desk or in your dorm or something like that, something that's easily portable. So I want to go to a MicroATX size, because I know that you can get somewhere between 4 RAM slots and 2 RAM slots. I would prefer 4 RAM slots because that means that you have more room for upgradability. So let's try that. And can we specify the number of RAM slots? Yes, we can. So let's go minimum 4. So now we're going to look at all the ones with 4 RAM slots, and the prices vary from, what is this, 103 to 142. Now the highest rated one, which is how I usually go about selecting motherboards, is this ASRock AB350M Pro 4. So we're just gonna head over to Amazon. Actually, let's go to Newegg, because I like Newegg better. Oh, so fairly nice color scheme. It has an M.2 slot in case you want to upgrade your SSD later on. I believe that's got 4 Oh, no, that's not the right view. There you go. So we got 4 SATA ports down here. We got a USB 3. Oh, we have a second M.2 port that I didn't see before. Fairly decent I.O. You have the HDMI, the VGA, and the DVI. Is that a USB Type-C? So this one's actually pretty loaded. I'm quite liking this one. And there is a $30 rebate, but I'm not going to be counting the rebates because they do take a while. You may see this after the expiry date and stuff like that, so we're just not going to count it. So I think we're going to go with this one. I like the color scheme. It's fairly simplistic, but it still has everything we need. Let's go back to PC Part Picker, and we're going to add to inventory. So again, it's a $119 before tax plus $15 tax at 13%, which is $135. Or if you do submit the mail-in rebate, it's $30 cheaper. But again, I'm not looking at rebates right now. On to memory. Now, DDR4 prices are pretty insane right now. I think we're just going to start filtering by our capacity. Now, I think that for an entry-level PC, we're going to go with 8 gigabytes. So you have the option to go 1 by 8 gigabyte stick or 2 4 gigabyte sticks. So because our motherboard has 4 slots, we have the option to run dual channel with 8 gigs right now with 2 sticks, or single channel. Now, I would always prefer dual channel, especially because we have 4 slots now. You can add 8 more gigabytes later by just dropping 2 more sticks in with a total of 16. 16 is pretty much the most, I guess, that is necessary for gaming. I personally have 16 in my rig, and the only reason I hit 16 gigs is if I'm video editing or CAD rendering or something like that, but it never goes over, I'm going to say 8 gigs or so with gaming and streaming or recording at the same time. So we're just going to stick with 2 by 4 gigs. And I don't think speed is super crucial because you could always overclock it. So we're just going to go with one of the lower ones, mostly because it doesn't seem to have a huge price increase. Let's try and look for something that matches. We're going to go like a black, a silver, something like that. Let's start filtering by this as well. Oh, here we go. So we're going to go black, silver, black, gray, gray, silver, gray, silver. Perfect. Oh wow, we are okay. So this series is the boring stuff. There's no heat spreader. I mean, you could use it if you want to save a few bucks, but who doesn't love a couple of nice looking heat spreaders? So let's try these guys out here. Oh, these actually don't look too bad. So these are for Newegg, or they're from Newegg. I've heard actually pretty decent things about these. Super basic heat spreader, but it does follow along with our color scheme. It does look kind of cool. And they are 2400 speed, which isn't the slowest, which is good. So I say let's go with these guys. Now, I believe previously there have been issues with Ryzen compatibility with some RAM sticks, but I think that's been fixed with updates, but we can try and double check that afterwards. So for storage, first things first, you always want to add a 1 terabyte drive at least, because that'll give you space to save games, all that kind of stuff. So I always think that a hard drive is necessary, but I think at this point in the game, an SSD is absolutely crucial if you want to increase your longevity. So let's start filtering by SSDs, 2.5 inch, and what else are we gonna do? SSDs 2.5, blah blah blah. Oh, capacity. So we're gonna start at 120, and we're gonna, let's just filter. So we want that 120 gig, because that's all you really need to load your OS, and then all your games and stuff can go on your hard drive. Let's sort again by price, and I know that AData usually has, oh yes, perfect, this one usually has this one. It's not the fastest, it's not the flashiest or anything like that, but it's always the most reliable. I've used this drive in several laptops and desktops. It's never failed me. It's always been a really reliable drive for me. We could go with that one. Anything else, you're going to be spending a little bit more or a little bit less, and sometimes I think that less on SSD isn't necessarily a good thing. So let's add this AData SSD to the cart, and then we can move on. We're going to skip the video card for now. We're going to go right to a case. So for a case, again, we're going to go MicroATX. So we're going to go ATX. Let's go mid tower, because we don't want it to be too small, but we want it to be small enough that it's not huge. And again, we're gonna be sorting by price, and then we can just sort of start looking down. So we have this Thermaltake Versa H15, which I've worked with before. It's pretty cool, but there's no window, which is unfortunate, because you want to be able to see things and like admire the computer that you built. And we're building it so that it looks cool also, nice color scheme. So let's try and work with one with a window. So if we were to go back here, I know the Corsair Carbide series sometimes comes with a window. Yes, there's that one there. So we have a choice of this one, which isn't too bad, or we have a choice. Ooh, what is this one? This one's pretty cool. Is that a tempered glass window? I haven't seen that before. Let's check it out. Transparent side panel, dark mirror front panel, 3 120mm fans, graphics card support up to 380mm. Item demonstration. Cool. This is looking pretty good. Wonder if we could get the gray one. So it's just the black one that they have as an option right now, and not the black red. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So that's the black one there. Perfect. All right, perfect. So that one. So let's add that one to cart. I like that. And then power supply, let's do the video card first. So with the recent crypto boom, you can see that some of the prices for these graphics cards, this was just a sort of a release here, but you can see that the prices were a little bit lower March, April, May, June, July, and then they started to hike up again a little bit. Now they're starting to settle down with the 6 gig 1060s, but we don't necessarily need all of that power anyway. So let's go back to the list and we can look at something, say like a 570 or 580. So here's a 580. So we're just going to take this one just as an example here. So you can see this is this one, the price has gone way up, and it started at for Newegg it was $295. At its height it was yeah, Newegg is $295. At its height, it's $365, and it hasn't quite come down. It's still at $330, so that's like $40 more than you would have paid for it 6 months ago. I think that a better option might be the 3 gig 1060. So let's take a look at those. Let's filter, show all. Filter, nope. Filter by 1060 3 gig. Ah, perfect. Ideally, we want something with 2 fans. The reason for that is we can still overclock the card, and then we can have some pretty decent cooling. Now, we don't want to go above the 300-ish mark. So let's try these 3. Let's try these 3. Okay, so they all have 2 fans. These 2 have the higher clock speeds. This one here, 316/28. That one's white, which is kind of contrasting, but not quite terrible. And this one here is $274.99 on Newegg. I think that one might be the winner, because this one here, it's $5 cheaper. So this guy is the winner. So let's go back here. Let's add this guy to the parts list, and away you go. Now the beauty about the 1063 gig is they don't require more than, I believe, it's like a 450 or 500 watt power supply. So that's pretty easy. Let's go to 500 watts modular. Let's go semi, because semi is always nice, and they usually have a bit of a black color scheme. They are a touch more expensive, but I do believe that it's definitely worth it. So if we're working down our list, I haven't used a Rosewell power supply ever. It does have a white fan. Oh, ketchup and mustard cables. Let's stay away from those. How about this EVGA one? Oh, that's not bad. Okay, so you have a VGA one, peripheral, SATA, and SATA. That's pretty nice. Nice black shroud. And all black cables. You get a couple of ties too. That's great. This is perfect. And it's only $64.99. So beautiful. I say let's add that one. And that looks to be just about done. Now hold on. Oh, we did yes. Okay. And there we go. Total $1,000.20 after tax, $885.19 before tax. I think we did pretty all right with the given requirements and the budget in mind. I know I would definitely want to keep it under $1,000 total, so that's perfect. Again, so there's that $30 mail-in rebate on, I think it was a motherboard or something like that you could send in and save a few more dollars. But I think as it stands, this is a really great system for the price. This would definitely get you up and running if you wanted to get into PC gaming. I know this isn't really a build guide, but this is sort of how I go about selecting parts when I'm looking at different builds. If you guys liked this and you wanted to see more, maybe with a Ryzen 5 or the new Coffee Lake systems, give me a shout in the comments below. Toss a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and enable those notifications so you can sort of stay on top of when I start posting a little bit more regularly. So thanks a lot, guys, for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.